It's the Burckle crater. So the Burckle crater is this massive 18-mile wide crater that's on the floor of the Indian Ocean off the coast of Madagascar. Now, what's fascinating about that is it's more than 2 miles underneath the surface of the water, and it sent out 600-foot high tsunamis, melted massive amounts of water. They got shot up into the jet streams that would have covered the earth with trillions of cubic meters of evaporated water, and it would have caused these mega hurricanes. And a lot of people think, because they believe that this happened within the last 6,000 years, a lot of people believe that this may have been what God used, this meteor crashing into the Indian Ocean that would have caused cataclysmic results that would have flooded the earth and brought about destruction. In fact, the report of the Columbia professors and other researchers on this said that it probably would have caused the extinction or the annihilation of 80% of the world's population.
I think that gentleman has had too many of these and not enough these. It seems that within this interview, that this gentleman has come up with so many multiple possibilities of how Noah's flood could have happened that he can't just settle on one. And he grasps for straws for each different one that he can try to grab and create this idea of a flood, of this worldwide flood that covered the earth higher than the highest mountain, at least 18 feet higher than the highest mountain. But when he brought in the Burckle crater, it just shows exactly how desperate he is. You see, this information that he's broadcasting is based on a proposed study, a hypothesis by the working group. But the working group's hypothesis have been not so much debunked, but disregarded by the overwhelming scientific community. So when he says a lot of people, what he's talking about is the people who of the working group and the Christians who are so desperate to believe that this flood had to have happened. And so we must come up with a scientific reason as to why it happened. Now, based on his own statement, he said that this crater impacted, that some meteorite impacted 2 miles deep, that it would have burned because of the nickel and iron deposits that were found that were fused together. And we know nickel and iron has to have about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit in order for it to fuse together. And we know that water evaporates at 100 degrees, that literally trillions of cubic meters of water would have been evaporated instantly. Instant evaporation, throwing tons of moisture in the air. And this moisture then comes back and rains down. But here's the problem. The evaporated water from the ocean, in the same way that it does today in our weather patterns, merely replenishes the oceans back to their original state. You see, you understand what I'm saying? You get it? The waters are evaporating right now from the ocean. They form into rain clouds. Those rain clouds rain on the land, on the sea, and all they do is replenish the water. If trillions of cubic inches of meters of water is being evaporated, then that would leave all that water, that land barren, and the ocean would merely just refill it as the temperatures cool down. As the oceans refill it, it will draw the waters away from the coastal areas. That water being drawn away from the coastal areas show new land, the rain falls, it replenishes the ocean. Now, an impact that great would cause mega tsunamis to happen all over that area of the planet, meaning that it would not actually reach the eastern half of North America. It would have to have washed completely over Africa. And the landmass of Africa is so large, so wide, that even a 600-foot wave wouldn't cross over Africa and continue on into the Eastern America and Eastern South America and into the Caribbean, destroying all the islands of the Caribbean and going into Mexico. It wouldn't happen. And the waters that are going the opposite direction to the east would impact Southwest Asia and all that, and could possibly maybe reach the western portions of North America and Central America and South America, but it wouldn't be a 600-foot wave by the time it reached there. So it wouldn't wash over the entirety of the continent as well. It wouldn't go the 3,000 plus miles across America. North America, across the United States. It wouldn't go that far. A 600-foot wave wouldn't. It would have some blockage at the different mountain ranges to by which it'll hit. And as far as one going north, at the time frame that he's talking about, which would be the Holocene era around 11,000 BCE, then those would have been stopped by the young Himalayan mountains and other mountain chains. So it wouldn't have washed all over China all the way up to the North Pole. There is nothing really blocking it from going south other than a little bit of Australia, southeast, and then down to Antarctica. But as far as it being a worldwide flood, those waters reaching all the way to the Levant, they wouldn't reach all the way to the Levant. There's too much land mass to cover, so it wouldn't reach all the way to the Levant. And them claiming that it would have killed 80% of the population is just preposterous. That it wouldn't be because of the wave. It will be because of the darkness and all the material that's thrown into the sky and covering the planet and all that ash and the radiation, things of that nature, which you don't find any of those as part of your biblical story. And as I said, it's merely just replenishing itself of the same water. We know there's not enough water on the planet to cover the planet right now. Otherwise, we already be a water world. So it doesn't work at all, not even slightly. The only thing that this could have caused was the fact that the oceans had already receded by 400 feet, and that this 400 feet receding was caused by the prior ice age that was going on at the time frame of around 11,000, 12,000 BCE, and all the ice that was built up on the land. And the heat that is thrown from this would have melted those ice caps. And so the 400 feet retreat that the ocean had already retreated from, and the land had already gained from the last ice age, simply would have replenished the 400 feet that it had lost. And therefore, that 400 feet that it had already lost, it would not have affected where it covered the mountain ranges of the Himalayas or even Mount Ararat during that time frame, because the Mount Ararat was not part of the 400 feet retreat of the ocean from the ice age. Before the ice age and the oceans were where they are presently today, they still did not reach that mountain range. So even with the ice melting rapidly, as an impact like this would have caused, it would not have reached even the mountains of Turkey. So therefore, this man is just grasping for straws. He is trying to make it sound scientific so that you will accept it and believe that this God utilized forces of nature to be able to create his flood, but yet this information is not looked upon. As a matter of fact, those scientists who've looked at the papers that were submitted by the working group have said that an impact of that nature doesn't happen around every 10,000 years, but an impact of that nature happens around every 100,000 years. Because if an impact of that nature happened every 10,000 years and it happened around 11,700, then that would have happened again around 1,700, by which it did not happen, and that we are already an additional 3,700 years overdue for one, which is ludicrous for him to think and for the working group to have even published such findings or beliefs. And that is what it comes down to. It comes down to beliefs. That impact crater, if it is an impact crater, happened long before our current recording of history. It wasn't the push for the Younger Dryas flood. The push for the Younger Dryas flood is most likely solar radiation activity, solar flares at a high level during that time frame, which caused the ice age to end at a rapid flood. And that's it. But Christians got to make up things in order to facilitate their delusional belief. But if you want to stay delusional, you're more than welcome to do so. But for those of us who use critical thinking, it is these types of preposterous ideas that we defend against to make sure that we have complete understanding of why we deconstructed from this religion. Because what he's doing to try to prove the religion actually disproves the religion. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.